Don't force your shoulders back. Teach them to move better. The most useful exercise isn't always the hardest one. Sometimes it's the one you can perform correctly, comfortably and consistently. Point 1 before you stretch. Take a slow breath and let your shoulders relax, then gently explore your movement. If you notice stiffness, don't fight it. Just recognize it. Point 2. Now focus on one simple goal. Make the movement feel smooth. Forget about how far you're going, and concentrate on moving without unnecessary tension. Point 3, as you continue, gently move into the stretch until you feel a mild, comfortable pull across the front of your chest or shoulders. You should not need to force your arms backward or create a strong sensation. A gentle stretch is enough, especially when you're starting. Point 4. Keep your breathing natural as you hold the position briefly. Try not to raise your shoulders towards your ears. Tighten your neck or arch your lower back to create more movement. Let your upper body stay relaxed, while your shoulders gradually explore their comfortable range. Point 5. If one shoulder feels tighter than the other, that's okay. You don't need to force the tighter side to match the other. Immediately work within a comfortable range on each side. Point 6. Pay attention to how the movement feels rather than how it looks. A smoother, easier movement can be more meaningful than simply trying to make your shoulders appear straighter. Point 7. Avoid bouncing or making sudden movements during the stretch. Move slowly into the position, pause comfortably, and then return with the same control. This keeps the exercise gentle and easier to manage. Point 8. You also don't need to hold the stretch for a long time. To make it worthwhile, start with a comfortable duration and focus on performing the movement consistently, rather than trying to make every session more intense. Point 9. Remember that your comfortable range can change from day to day. If you feel particularly stiff, use a smaller range if the movement feels easier. Allow your shoulders to move naturally without forcing them farther. Point 10. Never use sharp pain as a measure of progress. A mild stretching sensation can be acceptable, but if the movement causes significant or worsening pain, stop and reassess rather than pushing through it. Point 11. You also don't need to keep your shoulders pulled back. Throughout the day, your shoulders are designed to move. The goal is to develop comfortable movement and control, not to hold your body in one rigid position. Point 12. Consistency matters more than intensity. A gentle stretch that you can perform correctly and regularly is more practical than an aggressive exercise that leaves you uncomfortable or makes you avoid the routine. Point 13. Overtime. Pay attention to small changes in your shoulder range. You might notice that the same movement feels smoother, that reaching feels less restricted, or that you can move slightly farther without forcing it. These changes can be more useful indicators of progress than simply looking for perfectly straight shoulders. Point 14. When you compare your progress, try to use the same movement and a similar starting position each time. Notice how comfortable the movement feels, whether there is less stiffness, and whether you can control the motion more easily. Don't expect dramatic changes overnight. Mobility generally develops gradually, so give your body time to adapt. Point 15. And remember, this stretch is one part of a broader approach to healthy movement. If your goal is better posture after 60, combine comfortable mobility work with regular movement, appropriate strengthening, and good daily habits. The goal isn't to force your shoulders into a perfect position. It's to help them move comfortably, confidently, and naturally over time. If you have significant shoulder pain, weakness and injury, or a major loss of movement, speak with a healthcare professional before continuing with exercises that cause symptoms. Point 16. As you continue practicing, try to connect this stretch with the movements you already do throughout the day, for example. After sitting for a while, take a short break and allow your shoulders to move gently. Rather than immediately returning to the same position, the goal is not to spend hours stretching. It is to give your body regular opportunities to move. You can also pay attention to simple daily activities, such as reaching for an object, putting on a shirt, or lifting your arms comfortably. If those movements gradually feel smoother, that can be a useful sign that your mobility is becoming easier to manage. Keep the movement controlled and avoid turning every daily activity into a posture exercise. Your body needs variety, not constant correction. Point 17. Another important part of improving shoulder movement is remembering that stretching and strengthening are not exactly the same thing. A stretch may help you work on flexibility and comfortable range of motion, but your shoulders also rely on muscles to control that movement. Over time, appropriate upper back and shoulder strengthening exercises may complement your mobility routine. You don't need to start with complicated exercises or heavy resistance. The right choice depends on your current ability, health, and any existing shoulder problems. For now, focus on performing this stretch comfortably and consistently. Once the movement feels familiar, you can gradually build a more complete routine that includes mobility, strength, and regular everyday activity. Point 18. It is also important to understand what realistic progress looks like. You may not wake up one morning and suddenly notice perfectly straight shoulders. Improvement can be much more subtle. Perhaps your arms move more freely when you reach overhead. Maybe putting on a jacket feels a little easier. Or perhaps the stretch that once felt restricted now feels smoother and more comfortable. These small changes are worth noticing. At the same time, don't assume that every change in posture comes from one exercise. Rounded shoulders can be influenced by many factors, including habits, mobility, muscle strength, body structure, and other physical conditions. That's why this stretch should be viewed as one useful movement within a broader routine, rather than a guaranteed solution for every person. Point 19. Finally, listen to your body and know when a simple stretching routine isn't enough. If you experience significant shoulder pain, sudden weakness, numbness, swelling, a recent injury, or a major change in your ability to move your arm, don't try to stretch through those symptoms. It's better to have the problem properly assessed by a qualified healthcare professional. And if you have a known shoulder condition, recent surgery, or another health concern that affects movement, follow the exercise guidance you've been given. For everyone else, keep the principle simple. Start gently, move within a comfortable range. Breathe normally and progress gradually. You don't need to force your shoulders backward. To work on your posture, give them regular opportunities to move, and let consistency do the work over time. Remember, better posture after 60 isn't about forcing your shoulders backward. It's about helping them move more comfortably and naturally. Start gently, breathe normally, and stay consistent over time. Pay attention to small changes. Maybe your shoulders feel less stiff, your range of motion feels easier, or everyday movements become more comfortable. You don't need to change your posture overnight. Give your body time to adapt. Respect your limits and keep practicing consistently. And remember, don't force your shoulders back. Teach them to move better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.